Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to Dreamy Dreamland. Your Sensei Bob, this guy right here. Well, I've been in the deep green for the last 13 days, and all around the community here, around this bioregion is defined by Johnson City to our west, Kingport to our northeast, and Asheville to our south. And Boone's in there, and Irwin, and Elizabethton, and Hampton, and Hoagie. It's about a 500-mile square radius. And since the 90s, these areas have been basically ignored since 1890 to about 98. But I was brought to this area. I mean, I've been poking around this area since the 60s, but one of my best friends from grammar school went to Duke, and I used to go visit him and hang in his anyway, so we used to go to Joyce Children's National Forest. And the Rockefeller said, oh, when the Biltmores bought, ash in the surrounding area, the Rockefellers bought the surrounding forests of Joyce Conant. And really pretty. And the guy who was the architect for Central Park, the Rockefellers had him architect the National Forest, before Teddy Roosevelt. So you can walk into them. And there are, trails that have slate on them. Connection is unstable. Well, I'm just going to keep going. This actually is hey, I'm going to do another longer show after I finish lunch here. And that's kind of anyway, round two. Or here in between. Hey, James. So, my little deep green is quite a paranormal, sacred space. That's why I got it. And even though the cockroaches have come in to my physical neighborhood, they don't really affect me. What they do is that they affect me psychically, emotionally, right? And so it's a really good thing because it physically gives me a representation of the worldview by these few cockroaches. Right? And there's one family at the end of the cul-de-sac. I like physical representation of the family guy, right? The daddy is Peter. And the cul-de-sac folk are, that guy is Colonel Sanders, Colonel Cockroach Sanders. And his grandpa Sanders, right? Quite interesting to see mirror image of Grandpa Cockroach. And right now he's dying of very painful cancer. And that's because he's been an alcoholic his whole life. Now we all have our own cross to bear. And black folks, and they have 3 kids, and the oldest girl, she is a clone of her grandma, real vicious bitch. But the granddaughter has all that in her, but she has a sweet side, right? So it's an interesting thing. All these people, like I, tell people, human beings basically are just Mr. Potato Head. It's like 5 patterns that fit into 8 categories, and you get to 5 times 8 is what, 40 something or 35 or whatever. So that's how many characteristics I look for. The folk around me is it. So it's interesting. So I work at the undisclosed place, and I've pretty much been working at that since September. And then I bumped into some people who were like suffering even worse. So I went with them for a few days, and that was fun. Get out of the neighborhood. They drove the car, and then they came back and they stayed a day or 2 at the Deep Green, and this one girl, she was like, she woke up next to me. I'm so old. She's in her 40s, and I keep saying, "Well, you look like you're 24." She loves it when I say that. Yeah. Anyway, I woke up, and so my man cave is about 9 feet wide, about 18 feet long. It's just stuffed with stuff. So this goes a triple Virgo, right? Eats everything that's placed and always clean and sanitary, right? Anyway, so I wake up, I can tell she is wide awake. And now, the thing about the man cave is that it's in a holler, surrounded by mountains, surrounded by trees. So it's dark. It's like a cave. It's like Plato's cave, especially at night. And that's why I sleep like 12 hours. I go to bed around 10, wake up around 10. 10 is about when the sun finally gets above the mountain that's behind me. So sunlight kind of gets in. So now I'm real sensitive to light. As soon as there's some kind of light, oh, I'm awake. So anyway, wake up, and I kind of say, "Hey, are you awake?" She goes, "Yep." I said, "How long have you been awake?" She goes, "I don't know, a long time." I said, "Why, can't sleep?" She said, "No, after we got frisky, I'm kind of fell asleep, and you're sleeping with you is like sleeping with a teddy bear, a big one." So I fell asleep in your arms the first time in a long time that I had that experience. Then I woke up, and my hand was on a plastic bag, and the plastic bag was covered with gook. And I kind of, I didn't know how to turn a light on, so I just kind of like wiped the gook off on you because it's probably your gook. I said, "Yep, if it's anybody's gook, it's my gook." So So I know you're triple Virgo, so what's wrong? You're freaking out? Oh, no. The thing that's quite interesting is that I'm not freaked out at all. Normally, I'd kill you by now, right? Because she's a military girl. And I seem to, in my old age, lean towards military women. Um, because now I feel the most comfortable and at ease I've ever felt being right next to you and being in the room. She said, once my hand went on that cook, I realized that the woman is pretty cooky. And so, anyway, they all left. And I cook. And so it's like I'm like a holler cook, from the same frying pan and just keep making different things. Right? Went to go home yesterday. I had a few stuff and it's something different. Right? Well, so those folks really like their little respite because they've been going nonstop for 5 years. Kentucky has been getting whacked every year by tornadoes, hurricanes, and floods, and toxic spills. And Mitch McConnell has done zip, Marble Mouth Mitch. And, he's a good example of basically everyone in political office is there for themselves. Nobody's there. Even, good old Bernie. He's the loyal opposition. He never does squat. Talks a good game. Never does anything. He should have been president 3 different times. He always bent over. Anyway, I observed Kentucky being totally, especially the southwest corner of Kentucky that kind of leans on us. They're in the Appalachians. Well, and all the other, like the down folk and where the rich folk live, they don't even think about those people. They don't care. They don't do anything for them. And that is what you're going to see with the rest of the world. AIT is just an extension of the CIA, right, to get data. And when the thing about Elon, he's cutting the cord on everybody, right? And actually he does. He's taking all the data out of their servers, right? Because there's going to be, between now and 4th of July, I'm April 1st might be it. There's going to be oops, and we will probably have nuclear war in Europe, nuclear war in Israel, and some kind of kerfuffle with China and Japan. So it's going to be like real World War. And by Thanksgiving of this year, we could be looking at 3 billion less people on this planet. Between starvation and nuclear war, there you go. And nuclear weapons were designed. They're a terror weapon. They're really not a military weapon. Until we're going to see this, right? So, I'm thinking all this kind of bubble up. It's very interesting that I, who live out in the middle of nowhere, under a rock, and we lost storm, we lost power. And I fell asleep and I woke up and the power was still off, but And that meant that the lines that went down were along the main road that doesn't exist anymore. So it's a little more challenging for the utility company to fix that. So the other thing FEMA has done here is they've granted about a couple million, like $20 million, to clean out all the trees that have fallen because take a look at this. There we go.
Snow, sleet, or little bits of plastic falling from the sky. What do you think that is? Are you breathing in the other parts of it? Is it causing you cancer or debilitating your mental abilities? Is it why you can't get an erection or your clitoris seems like a piece of rubber? Reminds me of a Robert Frost poem about the falling snow, falling in my face, waking me up, reminding me that I don't have much to talk about. It ain't snow, guys. It's about 40 degrees out, right? And it's clearing. It's going to get cold, cold, cold. Then it's going to snow. Then it's going to get icy. And we'll have and we're right on the line. This has already happened 2 more times. Last 2 storms that came through, we didn't get the snow. We didn't get the ice. But we didn't get these little white snowflakes. They're not snow. These aren't snow. These are little things to wake you up, like Robert Frost said. Snowed in my face. It woke me up. Are you awake yet? Not woke. Woke is something else. But are you starting to realize, did you vote for Donnie or did you vote for the girl? It didn't matter. What's on my doorstep is a definition of fascism. And I'm pushing 80. I won't be here long. I'm seeing I deal with the medical institutions and I'm seeing them falling apart. I went into Walmart. Everything was about 30% more expensive, right? That was from China. And, the stuff that's on the shelves didn't come off the boat yesterday. It's been in the chain for at least a couple of months. So it's been in America. It wasn't touched by the tariffs, but Walmart stacked the price up anyway. Because they can.
Well, let's see. Nuclear weapons do exist, but they're more than what they're advertised. They're a dimensional device, right? And so, yes, you can have an isotope in a laboratory, and you have an instrument on it that measures, the radioactivity. If it's a fast mover, the half-life is, like the kind of radioactive isotopes they use in medicine. Allegedly clear your body in 4 or 5 hours. And the half-life is like, 2 hours, right? So, but still there's another half there, and another half, and another half. So what happened to of the people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They experienced a nuclear weapon. They had little boy and big boy. Little boy was basically a shotgun with a piece of highly active neutron generating material at the end, and this other part of highly active U-235. E equals mc squared gave you a root of that. But certain elements, certain isotopes, you get into what's that physics where you got a particle and a wave in the same place at the same time and a cat's in the box. And they're making computers with that kind of technology. Anyway, so the energy release was great amounts of heat, tremendous concussive force, and radiation. But the radiation fell off a great deal. The only real radiation that stuck around was all that dirt that was radiated at that moment went up into the air and did this. Well, explosions, especially the first one, was done through clouds. So they seeded those clouds with radiation. Those clouds kind of went over the ocean because Japan's an island, and rained out most of the radiation right then and there. So that is it. Like I said, nuclear weapons are more than what they're advertised. And who gave us the technology were dimensional characters, right? Who were fighting wars in other dimensions. Right? And like the multiverse. And when those weapons were released, they did things in other dimensions. Right? And that's how we got ourselves hoodwinked into this worldview that we have right now. And that's why Donnie was pruned as a game show host, in the show called The Apprentice, and that he's reliving that character as president. And everything that's going on, like that little thing where, JD and Carrot Head and the stand-up comedian were in the Oval Office, they were bitch slapping each other. They're scripted. Everything you see right in front of your face is scripted. Meaning, I heard about the 2025 document 30 years ago. And it was a paper that came from a guy named Quigley in the CFR. And he wrote the paper about the 2025 and Carrot Head and all of the rest back in 1946. So go look up Quigley. Go find his book, Hope and Tragedy. And go read Gary Allen's book. Gary Allen was Quigley's #1 apprentice. Gary Allen's book, None Dare Call Conspiracy. Two really good books. Exactly. Of course, they lie about all this stuff. That the half-life is 10,000 years. Isotopes in certain laboratory situations, yes, last 10,000 years. Out there in the street, not so much. Like I said, the nuclear weapons that were used in Japan were not as advertised, right? Because they wanted to make it a big boogeyman, right? To leave everyone hoodwinked, right? And stuck into certain geopolitical structures, right? In fact, we were told in the 70s that half-life was 20,000 years. Right, exactly. Like I said, they were up in the ante. More unveritable that Russia chemical okay, grew huge wolves. Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, I think I told you the story of Dr. Bitnoff. Keeps popping up in my life. And first at Duke University in '69, running that program called run by an entity called the SEAL Corporation, making super soldiers, Captain America. And the Nazis were doing that, in the camps. And Dr. Bitnoff came from that. And he was, worst of the worst. But he's a nice guy. Then I met a similar character in Brazil, what they called the old man. He sent me off into the hinterlands of Brazil, where I met up with tribal people who were dimensional. Right? I kind of went in there, was brought in there. And the Amazon has all these tributaries, not just one big river. It's a water basin. And I was taken down into one that was, no one goes there. Right? And I was almost wearing a spacesuit. You know that outfit you see, what's her name wear in the '90s movie about Carl Sagan's thing about getting a message in a bottle. And they build the device, and she goes through it, drops down, and it's only 18 seconds, but she's been out there for 30 hours, right? Anyway, things are so off the hook that you have to watch, lots of stuff. Dr. Stephen Greer is a good person to watch. He wants to be the hero of disclosure, and he will be, but only the disclosure that the hidden hand wants to be disclosed. Right? Not what's really going on or what had been going on. Not the person who's done the best job at disclosure has been George Lucas with the Star Wars franchise. Our moon is actually the Death Star because it doesn't act like any of the other moons out there. Mm. Mm. I really don't know. Well, I'll talk about that later. Mm. Yep. Remember, Zelensky saying, "You live by an ocean, and you'll feel that." Don't shut him down. Too late. He let the cat out of the bag. Yep. Jamie, tell us about the cat. It's not Schrodinger's cat. Right? Well, it's interesting. None of my devices get close to the internet. Right? They're all wired. You know, this guy, he's like totally. I mean, he can kind of be used as a tablet, but if we don't redo the apps and agree to giving them your testicles, that's what you want. And that's kind of why I sat on my front lawn for 13 days and just watched things bud out. We had 10 really beautiful days. Like, we had 2 days that rained. I mean, yesterday and the day before. It rained, but not all day. It was sunny here and there. But those other days were sunny every day. Like, I go out there and I look at the forest, and when it was sunny for like 10 straight days, it turned everything into crispy critters, meaning one little cigarette thrown out would be, and it was windy, boom, whole area would be, barbecue. But that's kind of fires that happened in Canada and happened in California are going to happen here, right, in the next few weeks or months, right? It's going to burn everything out. And no one has insurance. The insurance companies won't give anyone insurance unless you're rich, unless you're really rich. You don't get any insurance. So all the, collar folk have no insurance. And me neither. I had insurance, and when I first bought it, it was really cheap. So for good almost 20 years, it was always cheap, and it's all automatic. I forgot about it. I only really needed it for about 3 years while I had a mortgage on the property. And I would have bought the property straight up, but my bank said, no. We'll give you a mortgage. Just buy the money you were going to put in that, buy some CDs, which we have, that are really, really good. And this is before 2008. So I took that money and put in the CDs, and I could access, $1,000 every month, right? As long as it didn't go below a certain level. And so my mortgage was $78. Right? My taxes were $28 or $23 for the year. That's what it costs to live there. So, it's all automatic. I'm not even thinking about it. I don't have to write a check or do anything. For 3 years, mortgage paid off, and I had $36,000 from those CDs. And he said, well, if you take half of that and put it into these CDs, they are returning like off the wall. And he said, they will come to maturity before the end of 2007. And then, if I don't talk to you, I'm going to turn it all into gold. Which he did. Now, at least from that angle, when 2008 happened, I had a big chunk of gold, and we went through the roof. So, all these things were very observable. From a Yahoo banker to me out in the woods. No, contact, thank you. And people, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. Jesus isn't, the baby boy of God. No. Jesus is God in human form. He's not the son, like mommy, daddy, sonny boy. No. He's the S-U-N. So he's, and in the beginning, all things were dark. And then there was light, right? Then there was the word, and then there was light, right? And right there, they talk about Jesus. So she's been around since the first moment of the Big Bang. Yeah, true meaning of an avatar, exactement. That's what we are. This body ain't me. This is an avatar, right? And that's why, I should be dead. I should have been dead in 2014, but I'm not. Because I consciously am aware of that I'm serving God every moment of every moment. And so as long as God wants me here as his doula, I'm gonna be here. And so having to sleep on concrete for almost a month really hurt my poor little body. And because I had such great access to the internet, normally I watch I'm on the internet for like 6 hours a week, right? I was like on the internet 100 hours a day. It was like it was turning my brain into mush. And that's what's happening with poor kids, teenage kids. Why they aren't, they are the same kind of teenage kids that we were. We just didn't have the internet or this little device in our pocket. Anyway. Oh no. Yeah, I know. I'm going to be here as long. So, sleeping on all the man, it turned me into one. Oh my God, this hurts, right? So that's one reason why I spent the last 12 days in the deep green and 4 days out there in Kentucky because I slept on nice beds. And, the people who I was with, they had a nice house that didn't get wrecked and had a shower I could stay under for like 20 minutes. And they actually had a jacuzzi, which was kind of nice. So that was all I needed, and got some supplements. And so now my body, it still hurts, but not like it did. And so by being, a devoted doula to God's unconditional love and in covenant with love's co-creation, yeah, my body is, it's still screwed. It's, the physical avatar toy. I abused it so much for 30 years of hedonistic life. Yeah, yeah. But, I should be dead. When they were rolling me into that operating room from the ICU, and they were going to cut my legs off at the hips. And they were going to take 20 feet out of my colon, so I'd have to crap out of a plastic bag. I really got one a colostomy bag. And, they're going to give me open heart surgery, and I said, no, put me back in that ICU. And I got the rich guy who I was working for, and he said, yes, because the doctor said, oh, well, if we do these operations, he'll be good to go in 2 weeks. I'd be dead. It took me 3 years to get to first year after I came out of that place, I was in a wheelchair for a year, right? And I was in a wheelchair with clamps on my hands, those sticks, right? And I did that for 2 years. And then I basically, John bought, and I was in relatively good shape. But if you go back and those shows, you can see that I was like moving slow, and especially that one show where he comes out, what are you doing? And I was like, I've been living there almost 30 years, and when it snows the way it does, if you don't like break it up in front of a school, it turns into a sheet of ice like that thick and stays there until July. I was just like that and like scooping away. So why don't you come down here? I'm not going to come down. And that's John Boy. And that's why John suffers, because he doesn't do anything except whatever he wants to do. Right? That's why he's abandoned his family, basically. Right? Because if you really wanted to, even Colonel Cockroach came back to his family. Now it's easier for him to live that life, but he's trying, but he doesn't really try hard enough, right? And he comes and talks to me, but I talk straight to him and he didn't want to hear that. So, well done. So anyway, I'm gonna move on and I'm going to come back in an hour or hour and a half, or somewhere in between. Okay. So right now it's 1:45, so I should, 2:45. I should kind of be back. Okay. Okay. Give or take. Okay. I'm going to end this and that.